I'm a 24-year-old female. I'm set to marry my fiancé Leo, 25, in 3 months. Leo and I have been together since high school, and we're well acquainted with each other's families. For the most part, I get along with Leo's family, except for one person, his brother Dave, 27. Dave has always been unpleasant to Leo, and consequently to me as well. He was one of those high school kids who found it cool to be rude without reason, and regrettably, he hasn't outgrown that phase. Dave's behavior has earned him the reputation of a brat tolerated solely because he's his parents' son. Additionally, Dave has a history of failed relationships. It's evident that his inability to maintain a healthy relationship stems from revealing his true colors a few months in. Despite his unpleasant personality, Dave's good looks attract women initially, only for them to be repelled later by his behavior. Consequently, he often had a new partner at every event, showing how short-lived his relationships were. However, about 6 months ago, he found a partner equally toxic, Jenna, a mean-spirited individual who takes pleasure in belittling others. Their relationship, surprisingly, has lasted longer than Dave's previous ones. Jenna's constant picking on others aligns perfectly with Dave's behavior, making them a match made in heaven. While I may seem hateful towards them, trust me, your opinion will likely change after hearing what they did, or rather attempted to do to me a few weeks ago. Leo proposed to me during a quiet evening at home, and without a moment's hesitation, I said yes. After years of being together, it felt like the perfect next step in our relationship. We had already been living together for quite some time, sharing our lives and dreams, so in many ways, we already felt like a married couple. All that was left was to make it official and celebrate with our loved ones. However, before we could make our announcement to the world, a surprising twist unfolded. David and Jenna, our close friends, beat us to the punch by posting their own engagement news on social media. It caught us off guard, especially considering David's track record in relationships. The fact that he was now engaged to someone he had known for less than a year left us stunned and bewildered. In the midst of processing this unexpected turn of events, we realized the importance of sharing our own joyous news with our families. While my family was already aware of our plans, Leo still needed to inform his. As we reached for our phones to share our engagement with loved ones, we were greeted by a flurry of messages from friends and relatives inquiring about David's engagement. It seemed that news travels fast, even in the digital age. Despite the unexpected detour, we remained steadfast in our decision to share our happiness with those closest to us. Leo promptly reached out to his parents to share our news, and their excitement and support were palpable. Amidst the excitement of our own engagement, Leo's parents also shared the surprising news of David and Jenna's engagement, sparking discussions about the possibility of all of us tying the knot on the same day. Well, to be honest, we never even considered that as a possibility. But we figured, why rain on their parade? We let them have their moment and waited a few days before sharing our own engagement news. We were fully aware that Dave and Jenna would likely make a fuss about it, and they certainly lived up to expectations. While they sent congratulations, they couldn't resist throwing in some snide remarks insinuating that we were somehow copying them. It was amusing, really, their attempt to paint us as the odd ones, when they had just gotten engaged after knowing each other for a mere 6 months. Meanwhile, Leo and I had been together for years, so our engagement was hardly as surprising as theirs. I did feel a pang of annoyance initially, feeling like they were stealing our thunder or something, but I quickly shrugged it off. After all, our wedding was about us, not them. Their opinion was the least of my concerns, especially considering how insignificant they were in our lives. We decided to host a party at our place a few days after our engagement, and we invited Dave and Jenna, not because we wanted them there, but because we wanted to make a point. Surprisingly, they showed up, perhaps enticed by the promise of free food and drinks. However, instead of enjoying the company, they spent the entire evening boasting about their engagement and flaunting their rather tasteless rings to anyone who would listen. The atmosphere was electric as the news of their engagement spread, but as time passed, the initial fervor began to wane, leaving only a lingering desire for attention. Their relentless pursuit of the spotlight grew tiresome, met with either polite deflection or outright indifference from those around them. Eventually, they relented, turning their focus to each other, a welcome shift in dynamics. Amidst the chatter and clinking glasses, I felt the weight of my earrings and decided to seek refuge in the restroom. With a few drinks in me, the journey to the bathroom felt like a much-needed escape. Little did I know, the solace I sought would soon be shattered by an unexpected intrusion. As I shut the door behind me, the distinct sound of the bedroom door closing echoed in my ears, sending a chill down my spine. Confusion turned to alarm as I realized I wasn't alone in the sanctity of my bathroom. Voices, hushed but urgent, permeated the silence, discussing plans that made my blood run cold. Dave and Jenna, in a brazen act of betrayal, were plotting to tarnish the sanctity of my upcoming wedding. Anger bubbled within me as I listened, hidden yet privy to their scheme. They intended to feign camaraderie in the months leading up to the wedding, only to unveil their true intentions during a speech, intending to inflict maximum humiliation upon me. Their motivation? A twisted desire for revenge, born out of a misguided sense of entitlement. It was a sobering realization to know that such malice lurked beneath the facade of friendship. In that moment, I grappled with conflicting emotions, the urge to confront them head on battling with the need to gather more information. Ultimately, I chose to remain concealed, absorbing every detail of their nefarious plan. Their betrayal stung, a painful reminder of the ugliness that sometimes hides behind smiling faces. But amidst the shock and indignation, a resolve began to form. I wouldn't let their treachery go unchecked. They firmly believed that our decision to get engaged around the same time as them was an attempt to steal their spotlight. Their resentment was palpable as they proceeded to disparage me, unaware that I could hear every word from the refuge of the restroom. Time seemed to stretch endlessly as I endured their spiteful chatter. Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, they departed, likely satisfied with their efforts. However, their scheming left me unfazed, as I saw through their ploy and resolved to have the last laugh. Later, after the guests had left, I confided in Leo about the unpleasant exchange I had overheard. His lack of surprise spoke volumes about his understanding of their character. He was not only appalled by their behavior but also eager to confront them then and there. However, I convinced him to delay our retaliation, opting instead to wait for their wedding day to exact our revenge. Knowing they had secured a coveted wedding venue, courtesy of Jenna's uncle, we anticipated that they would beat us down the aisle. Their wedding was scheduled just a month away, a hurried arrangement justified by the allure of the venue. With this knowledge in mind, we decided to exercise patience and bide our time. A week after our engagement celebration, their wedding invitations were dispatched, signaling the commencement of my plan. Aware of Dave's questionable romantic history, characterized by frequent relationship turnover and overlaps, I quietly made note of the names and faces of his past girlfriends, courtesy of social media. While intervening in their affairs was not my prerogative, the information I gathered would prove invaluable in due time. I managed to locate 8 of his ex-girlfriends, each with tales of their own turbulent relationships with Dave. Given his less than stellar reputation, it was hardly surprising that these women were more than eager to join forces in a plan to give him a taste of his own medicine. Without much persuasion, they enthusiastically agreed to participate. Creating a group chat with these women, I briefed them on the plan ahead. It was a sight to behold as they unleashed a torrent of scathing remarks about Dave, roasting him with a ferocity that left me in stitches. Their collective disdain for him knew no bounds, and I found myself laughing harder than I had in a long time. As the wedding day arrived, everything fell into place seamlessly. Just as the ceremony was set to commence, his ex-girlfriends made their grand entrance, one by one, veils concealing their faces until they were within striking distance. With a swift removal of their veils, they launched into a blistering tirade against Dave, exposing his flaws and shortcomings for all to see. The spectacle was nothing short of spectacular, a blend of catharsis and revenge as they confronted him with the harsh truth of his character. Stunned and speechless, Dave faltered under the weight of their accusations, his attempts to salvage the situation falling woefully short. Eventually, the chaos drew the attention of Jenna, her parents, and Leo's parents, who intervened to restore order. Threats of police involvement finally compelled Dave's exes to retreat, though not before delivering a final verbal lashing. Though Dave and Jenna exchanged vows that day, the atmosphere was somber, overshadowed by the lingering aftermath of the ex-girlfriend's dramatic intervention. Their performance stole the spotlight, leaving Dave to grapple with the consequences of his actions while Jenna retreated, perhaps overwhelmed by the turmoil unfolding around her. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of Leo's mother's presence until later when she subtly approached me. She must have noticed my discreet recording and suppressed grin during the chaos at the wedding. Her inquiry caught me off guard, and for a moment, I considered fabricating a story. However, honesty prevailed as Leo and I decided to come clean about our involvement in orchestrating Dave's humiliation. We met with Leo's mother the day after the wedding, and despite my initial apprehension, we laid out the truth before her. We recounted the events leading up to the wedding, including Dave's devious plan to embarrass me. It was a moment of vulnerability, confessing our actions and motives, but it felt like the right thing to do. Leo's mother listened attentively as we revealed our role in the debacle. We explained how we had uncovered Dave's intentions and preemptively intervened to protect ourselves from his malicious scheme. It was a cathartic experience, finally divulging the truth and shedding light on Dave's deceitful nature. After hearing our confession, Leo's mother remained composed, processing the information we had disclosed. There was a palpable tension in the air as we awaited her response. Would she be angry or disappointed? We could only wait and hope that she would understand our perspective. In the end, honesty prevailed, and Leo's mother appreciated our candor. While she may have been taken aback by our revelation, she recognized the gravity of the situation. Our confession sparked a conversation about Dave's character and the need to address his behavior. Despite the initial discomfort, our honesty strengthened our relationship with Leo's mother. It was a reminder that transparency is essential, even in difficult circumstances. We had faced the truth head on, and in doing so, we had taken a significant step towards resolving the lingering tensions surrounding Dave's actions. She remained deeply aggrieved by our actions, adamant that disrupting their wedding and seeking vengeance despite their lack of provocation was unwarranted. Beyond merely spoiling their special day, our actions cast a shadow over the family's reputation, a consequence she felt we failed to adequately consider, particularly for her and Leo's father. The ongoing chatter among their relatives served only to compound their embarrassment, prompting her to insist on an apology. However, my resolve remains unyielding. I refuse to extend an olive branch to Dave and Jenna. While I'm willing to offer apologies to Leo's parents, given their unwitting involvement, I categorically reject the notion of expressing regret to Dave and Jenna. Leo shares my stance on this matter, acknowledging the inadvertent embarrassment caused to his parents while remaining steadfast in our collective decision. Despite Dave and Jenna's lack of overt action, their underlying intent was crystal clear, a fact I find equally reprehensible. While the avoidance of drama could have been achieved by simply omitting their invitation, I was personally inclined to reciprocate their negativity, deeming it a justified response. Regrets? None whatsoever. Despite Leo's parents' persistent urging for reconciliation, particularly with Dave, our stance remains resolute. Update: a week has passed since my last update, during which Leo and I have reached a firm decision not to extend apologies. The absence of immediate action from Dave and Jenna does not absolve them of their intent to potentially mar our wedding day. Were the roles reversed, it is likely they would have proceeded with their scheme without hesitation. Hence, we see no reason to entertain feelings of remorse. Although our involvement remains undisclosed, our actions have sparked discussions, albeit not of the nature desired by Dave and Jenna. Nevertheless, we have relinquished our hold on their limelight. They can have all the attention they want. Heck, I even added some drama for effect and stirred up quite a commotion that they'll remember for years. Honestly, I think they should be thanking Leo and me for spicing up their otherwise dull wedding. We turned it into a memorable event that people will be talking about for ages, so we really did them a favor. Since the wedding, we haven't heard from them, but a mutual friend informed us that they've been badmouthing us relentlessly. It's absurd how they've been blaming us for their misfortunes, even though they have no clue it was us. They're spinning a tale about us manifesting something negative for them, which led to the whole fiasco. I have no idea how they managed to drag us into their narrative, especially without knowing our involvement yet. Just wait until they find out. We have no plans to confess, but Leo's parents might spill the beans, as they're quite upset about our actions. Frankly, we're not sorry at all. If Leo's parents do betray us, it'll be a disappointment for him, and we might have to reconsider our relationship with them. While they've always treated us equally, we expect them to defend Leo this time, and I firmly believe they should. Not just because he's my fiancé, but because Leo is a much better person than Dave and Jenna combined. They need to keep that in mind before taking any action. But that's just my opinion. Update: Leo's parents called us an hour ago, surprisingly expressing understanding. While they couldn't forgive our pettiness as parents, they acknowledged that we could have handled things better. It's a small victory to have them recognize where we were coming from. I'm gratified to see that they've finally begun to comprehend our perspective. It's essential for them to recognize that we're not the antagonists in this scenario. Rather, we're individuals who have become exasperated by the incessant and vexing behavior of Dave and Jenna. Consequently, we felt compelled to take action, not out of malice, but as a means of imparting a necessary lesson. Taking heed of the advice offered by many of you, we've taken the decisive step of severing all ties with them. They've been unequivocally blocked across all social media platforms, and we're adamant about ensuring that none of the intricate details of our impending wedding festivities find their way into their hands. While some may view our precautions as excessive, we've even gone so far as to create a wedding website accessible exclusively to a select circle of trusted individuals. Admittedly, our wedding is intended to be an intimate affair, but in light of recent events, we deemed it prudent to take preemptive measures to safeguard against any potential disruptions. While the likelihood of Dave and Jenna causing trouble may appear slim, given the enduring nature of Leo's and my relationship forged since our high school days and the absence of significant romantic entanglements in our respective pasts, we're unwilling to take any chances. Unlike their own wedding, which was bereft of professional security measures, a luxury they couldn't afford, ours will be fortified by a team of seasoned professionals. I don't wish to boast, but when it comes to putting Dave and Jenna in their place, the temptation to assert our superiority is simply irresistible. With our wedding day rapidly approaching, Leo and I find ourselves brimming with anticipation and excitement, eagerly awaiting the moment when we can finally exchange vows and embark on this new chapter of our lives. Update 3: It's been a significant stretch of time since my last communication, but I'm thrilled to share the joyous news that Leo and I are now officially married. It feels almost surreal to think of myself now as a married woman, a title that carries a weight of permanence and commitment. Yet, in truth, I've been living in the role of Leo's wife for what seems like an eternity. The official ceremony took place just a couple of days ago, and the euphoria of the occasion still lingers within me. The post-wedding phase, with its tender moments of reflection and gratitude, is proving to be as enchanting as the wedding itself. I want to extend my deepest appreciation to all of you for the outpouring of kindness and support you've shown us. Your words and messages have added an extra layer of warmth to our newlywed glow. Our wedding day was nothing short of magical, a perfect blend of dreams fulfilled, emotions expressed, and pure, unadulterated joy. Every moment, from the tender exchange of vows to the jubilant celebrations, is etched in my memory with crystalline clarity. It was a day of such significance and splendor that I can scarcely imagine forgetting even the smallest detail. Forgive me if I sound like I'm gushing, but the truth is, I could talk endlessly about our wedding day. It was an event that exceeded all my expectations, a culmination of years of dreaming and planning. Such an occasion naturally invites reflection and introspection, and I find myself endlessly grateful for the love and support that surrounded us on that day. The presence of both Leo's and my parents at the ceremony was a poignant reminder of the bonds that unite us. Despite any initial concerns they may have had, particularly regarding Dave, they ultimately embraced the joy of the moment with open hearts. While some may argue that our response to Dave's actions was somewhat petty, we felt it was a necessary assertion of our boundaries. It's true that Dave and Jenna, upon realizing they weren't invited, attempted to provoke us through various means. Yet, their efforts only served to highlight the futility of their actions. We had moved beyond the need for validation or recognition from them. In the aftermath of the wedding, there were murmurs of discontent from Dave, who felt slighted by his absence from the guest list. However, his grievances fell on deaf ears, as both his parents and ours stood firm in their support of our decision. If anything, Dave's reaction only served to underscore the maturity and resilience that Leo and I have cultivated in our relationship. Now, as we embark on this new chapter of our lives as husband and wife, we do so with a sense of tranquility and contentment. Our focus is no longer on the petty dramas of the past, but on nurturing and cherishing the bond we share. In the grand tapestry of our lives, our wedding day will always stand out as a shining moment of love, joy, and unity. And so, as we journey forward, we invite you to join us in celebrating the beauty of love in all its forms.